Basically, this video is for any problem that you might ever face in your life, right? It can be financial, business, personal, relationship, literally anything. Because a lot of times I've seen that, even including myself, like I made the system up for myself because I was sick and tired of like being in problems and not being able to solve them, right? Because there's no worse feeling than being not in control of a situation, right? So what I've noticed is from myself and other people going through a lot of problems is that a lot of people focus on the surface level of the problem, right? Versus the actual root cause or what the problem really is. So they focus all their time and energy solving the surface level problem, leaving the root cause left alone, which means that the problem really happens again and you're back into the same situation. What I'm trying to say is, if you ever look at like a dysfunctional relationship where people break up, they get back together, right? Even though they know it's not going to work because they never solved the problem with like the real problem within, right? Or what the real situation is. They just solve the surface level. Oh, I'm sorry, I'll be back, right? Or any other situation, like let's say you go through a tough time financially, right? Instead of correcting what the problem was that caused you to be there, you end up solving the surface level problem, right? But anyways, without further ado, I'm going to use some examples so that way you understand what I mean, each of these steps. But here are the steps to solve any problem that you might ever encounter. And if you follow along, you could either take notes on this video or you can download the worksheet. I'm going to link it in the bottom, I'm going to link it down below where you can download this worksheet and fill it out. That way you can always have this worksheet, make multiple copies, and then, solve any problem that comes in your life, right? That's the whole objective of this video, is to never be faced by problems and not be able to solve them. Anyways, the first step is to take time and define the problem, right? In medicine, they say that accurate diagnosis is half the cure, right? So what you have to do is you have to be crystal clear on what the problem is, right? Only then you can go on and solve the problem. I'll give you let's start with an example. Let's say you work in the car industry, right? Like where you need a car to make money, like Uber, taxi, limo, whatever, right? And let's say your car breaks down and it's a severe problem, like $5,000-6,000 worth of damage, right? And you need to fix that, but you don't have the money, right? So what you need to do is solve the problem by basically, you have to define the problem, and how you do that is you literally write it out. What is the exact problem, right? So you have to basically define the problem clearly. So the problem in this case would be car transmission broke down, right? Don't have money to pay for the transmission, right? And that's pretty much it, right? And then how will I face my other expenses that come up, right? I don't have enough money, blah, blah. So define it clearly. Know what the problem is, because you can't tackle something you're not familiar with, right? So clearly define it. So that's how we would define it, that car broke down, don't have money, right? Don't know what to do, pretty much in a shitty situation, right? All right. So that's the first step. Define the problem clearly, right? Second step, ask if it's really a problem, right? Because there's some things are just facts of life. There's nothing you can do about it, right? And a lot of people sometimes forget that, right? Like, for example, you can't control inflation. As much as it sucks, like, you can't control that. So you can't be upset about the economy going bad. Or if there's a financial crisis, the real estate market crashes, you can't be, that's not a problem because you can't control it, right? You got to look at it in a way that, is it a blessing in disguise, right? Like, is this teaching you to become a better person, right? Let's say you had invested in properties, right? And the real estate market crashes and you lost all your money. You don't really lose all your money, but let's say you lost all your money. Now that's a problem in this, like, that's a blessing in disguise, because now you know how to invest money. You need to diversify, right? But really the second point is ask, is it really a problem, right? Because oftentimes there's more to, like, it's not really a problem. It's something out of our control and we shouldn't even be worried about it, right? So that's step number 2. Step number 3 is, this is my favorite part because this really gives you a sense of relief of the problem, right? Is identify the worst possible thing that could happen if your problem took place, right? And be very clear. Now this is the best part, because then you realize, holy shit, it's not that bad. Like, this problem isn't even a problem if you really think about it, right? It's merely an issue, right? For example, in a situation where I have no money and I have to get my car transmission fixed, what do I do? What's the worst case scenario? The worst case scenario would be that I would not have my car, therefore I cannot make an income, therefore I cannot pay my bills, therefore I lose social status and I lose a lot of ego and pride, right? Because what kind of man can provide, right? And I can't pay my rent, I can't pay my utilities, all these banks are going to call me, everybody's going to call me, right? Pay your bills, right? But here's the thing, it's not the end of the world, because I still will have food to eat. You know what I mean? Like, I'll still have a roof over my head. Because I live in Canada, right? Like if you're in North America, we have a welfare system, right? Worst comes to worst, you're covered. People will take care of you, right? The government will take care of you, right? And that's the worst case scenario, right? But even then, like think about it this way: I could ask my friends for money. My friends, if they know I'm going through this, or my family, they would never let me go through this, right? They would make sure that I am taken care of. So they will provide for me. They will give me a place to stay. They would do all these things for me. So really, if you think about it, it seems like the end of the world because I feel like, oh, I can't pay my rent. What am I gonna do? But really, I'm not gonna die. I'm not gonna suffer. So it's very, very important. This step right here, step number 3, is to identify the worst case scenario, clearly define it. And I hope if you have a problem in your life right now, if you're going through a divorce, if you're going through any problem, even if it's small, like you broke up or something, or you want to grow, you can't have anything, right? I hope you're following along on this worksheet and like, filling it out, because this will literally solve all your problems, right? But anyways, step number 4 is resolve to accept the worst possible outcome if it were to occur, right? Now this is just beautiful, right? Like accept full responsibility. So now you've written down your worst case scenario. Now accept it. Okay, you know what? If this happens, I'm okay with it. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take it like a man or like a woman, right? Whatever floats your boat, right? Take it like I'm just gonna accept it, and that's what I'm gonna do. Make a decision right now that you're gonna accept this problem, and that's it. So this way you have this sense of relief that, you know what, I know what the worst is and I can handle it. I can take it on. So that just makes you very confident right there, because you know what the problem is, right? Step number 5 is honestly, I think, something that you should do. I know a lot of people won't do it because it's a lot of writing, but restate your problem in different ways, right? Because if your problem can be defined in one way, that's not a problem. There's something wrong with how you're looking at the world and the way things are. So for example, in the same situation, transmission comes in. The problem is I'm broke, right? Clearly, the problem is that I didn't have enough savings to cover an unexpected expense, so I need an emergency fund. Another way of rewriting the problem or restating the problem would be that I don't take care of my finances, right? I'm not financially literate, so I need to go and study finances and figure out how to save money on the side. Or another way of looking at the problem would be that I'm afraid I have too much pride. I'm afraid of like calling up my landlord and be like, hey, listen, man, I can't pay the rent this month, right? You think he's gonna mind? You know how the law works, right? Like they're on your side. So but I can't do that. I don't want anybody to know that I'm suffering, right? So you can already tell how many problems there are more. So what you have to do is come up with at least, I would say, 15 to 20 different ways of defining the problem, because you'll find another way of solving the problem without, it'll be a way different than the first thing you would have thought. So the first way of this transmission problem would have been oh, I need to borrow money and fix the transmission and then move on with my life, right? But now I'll find that, holy shit, I probably have too much pride, right? That maybe I need to work on this first, because clearly I'm afraid to ask people for money and for help, right? So maybe this is a bigger problem than the issue at hand itself, right? So very important, because you find out many different ways, right? So once again, step number 5 was, what else is the problem? Rewrite your problem at least 15 to 20 times in 15 to 20 different ways, and you'll find out things that you don't even know about yourself, right? Number 6 is, how did the problem occur, right? You have to figure out why this happened, because the whole point is you need to solve it at the root. You gotta nip it in the bud, if that's even a statement, right? You gotta nip it in the bud. You gotta take the problem and you got to figure out how it happened. You got to figure out the system, the pattern, why you came to this point, right? So let's go back to the point where the car broke down. So the problem was that I'm not good with my finances, right? Clearly, because I had no money saved up for an emergency, right? So my problem, the root of the problem is that I'm not financially literate, right? It's not about the situation. Yeah, in the current situation, I feel like, oh my God, I have no money, but the real problem is I'm not financially literate. I don't know how to manage my finances, so I need to go and work on that, right? So that is the problem. And if I solve that, then I'll never have financial problems again, because now I know how to manage money, I know how to save money, I'll know how to keep it, right? For rainy day and whatnot. So that's why very important. Step number 6 is, how did the problem occur, right? Now step number 7 is brainstorming, right? What are all the possible solutions, right? Just write. Don't even think twice. Don't even hesitate. What are all the possible solutions? Start writing, right? Oh, ask Jamal for money. He's my friend. Jamal's my friend. He gives me money here and there, whenever I need it. He's a good guy. Ask him for money. Ask my brother for money. Ask this person for money. Call my landlord. Tell them that I'll be late on rent, or maybe I'll pay 2 months together the next month, right? call up my car company and be like, listen, I have a terrible thing going on. I don't think I can make the car payments, but if you could just move the dates, or I could do something. Call credit card companies, be like, yo, I can't make those payments, yo. I know I have a lot of debt, but I can't make them. So the whole point is, list out all the possible solutions, because now you need to work. And this step number 8, the most important part, the most important after step number 3, which was identifying the worst possible. Step number 8 is pick one thing and act on it right now. So ask yourself, out of all the all the solutions you listed, what is one that you can take right now, right this moment, not tomorrow, not day after tomorrow? What can you do right now? And if you're like driving or something, right, or like you're in a situation where you have to run right after, like you have to go somewhere, sure, put a deadline to it, but act on it. The whole point is act. Start moving towards the solution. You have to start gravitating towards where you want to be and not be resentful of where you are and how you got here. Move towards the solution. Move towards progress, right? Like make moves right away. Very important. Take the first step right away. Even if that means writing a reminder to do this tomorrow morning, do it. The whole point is do something, right? And basically, like that's essentially the most important part of this whole solution, is to do something right away. Like at that moment, figure out what to do, right? And then step number 9 is kind of optional, right? But it's basically like assign specific responsibility, right? Like who exactly is going to carry out some of the things, right? Because this is for all problems in the world, right? So it could be business too. So let's say your marketing sucks. So obviously you would need to assign your marketing team in your business, a specific quota to meet, right? So then they have to do this, and that, and then you'll hire tell the sales guy to do this, and that. Basically, if there is an option to assign specific responsibilities to people, do it, right? Hold people accountable, right? But this is an optional step because not everybody has it, right? And step number 11, okay, this is very important. This literally separates people from successful people and non-successful people, right? And this is basically set a measure for a decision. Basically, what people call goals, right? What you need to do is you need to figure out a way of your problem to measure the progress of you getting out of it. You can't just blindly move towards solutions and not know where you stand, right? That will leave you really hopeless and really feeling like shit. What you need to do is set up a measuring system, right? Like goals, right? How are you going to identify where you are in the progress of getting out of this problem, right? For my situation, the example I mentioned, right, about the whole transmission car breaking down thing would be, okay, first, I will set up milestones like this. First is pay off all the people, list them, and pay off all the people I borrowed from, right? So pay back Jamal 1,500, pay back my cousin 1,500, pay this person back, pay my rent, come back from negative, right? And pay back my bills, get caught up in all my bills, right? Then the next measure would be save up for an emergency fund. So first would be save $1,000, then would be $3,000, then would be save 3 months worth of emergency fund, then 6 months. So that way I have a system, I have it written down, defined clearly that these are the steps I need to take, and then I will be out of the problem, and I will measure my progress. I will know, okay, I paid this guy off, I paid that person off, I paid my rent, I'm caught up fully now, sigh of relief, right? Now, okay, I need to move towards this. So now I know this way I will ensure that this problem not only happens again, but you will become happy. Because this is what, basically, if you could define happiness in a nutshell, is basically it's progress towards an ideal, right? Like whatever you think you are, whatever you want to be, when you make progress towards that and you can see it, that's happiness. So this will set you up for success in life, because then you'll be like, holy shit, if I just take this formula I just did right here to anything I want, like let's say I want to be, I don't know, a best-selling author, or become the best MMA fighter, I could list down milestones and measure them every week, every month, every day, and figure out how to get there. And then you'll start checking them off, and you're like, oh my god, I'm actually getting closer to my goals. I can actually accomplish this. I can actually become a rapper. I can actually become a millionaire. I can become anything I want. So this step is so important, because it defines you as a person. Because once you get into this habit, life is unstoppable at that point, because you realize that nothing is impossible. And honestly, I'm going to be doing another video on this too, about setting goals and how important they are, and how it can propel you into places in life that you would never imagine. But for now, this is how you solve problems, right? These are the 10 steps of how you solve any problem in your life. And if you want, and I highly recommend, download the worksheet, print it out, keep copies on you, so that way you know whenever you go to a problem, you have a piece of paper you can fill out, and you'll be like, yes, I got it all down now, right? I have it all figured out, and I have everything listed in there. everything. So you don't even have to do any thinking. Oh, should I do this? Should I do that? Just follow along, like filling out a form, fill it out, and there you go. You have the solution to your problem. And I mean it. Like any problem that you have, you'll be able to solve it. You're going through financial problems. You're going through a divorce. Your friends hate you. You're insecure about something, right? It could be anything. You know, somebody that you love has passed away, right? It could be anything, but this will give you a solution. This will give you momentum. This will get you towards going to where you need to be versus staying at where you are, you know. And that's all I gotta say, right? Hopefully this helps you out. Highly recommend downloading the sheet, following along, you know, or keeping it. Give it to somebody, right? Share this, or like give that to somebody who's in problem, or help. Like what I would do personally is I usually help people fill it out because people are lazy. They don't want to really, they want to help themselves, but they don't really want to do anything. So, you know, if you know somebody's going through a hard time, ask them these questions, go through it, and I promise you it will help them a lot. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, so I'll see you in the next video. Bye.